The observation deck of the Valiant hummed with the quiet efficiency of a warship at rest. William stood before the panoramic viewport, his reflection ghosting across the star-scattered darkness beyond. His hand unconsciously moved to his left shoulder, fingers tracing the old scar through his uniform, a habit he'd never quite broken in 15 years. "Commander Hayes, we're approaching the Jaren flagship," Lieutenant Chen's voice crackled through his comm. "They're requesting you come alone for the diplomatic meeting." William's jaw tightened. The Jaren Empire, humanity's greatest adversary for 2 decades, and now, somehow, their potential allies against the void swarm that threatened to devour the entire galaxy. The irony wasn't lost on him. "Acknowledged, preparing shuttle now." The journey to the Jaren vessel was brief but tense. Their flagship, the Eternal Twilight, dwarfed humanity's largest carriers, a crystalline behemoth that seemed to bend light around its elegant spires. William had seen Jaren ships before, usually through targeting screens. Seeing one up close in peace felt surreal. The docking bay was unlike anything in human engineering. Bioluminescent walls pulsed with soft violet light, and the air itself seemed to shimmer with an almost liquid quality. An escort of Jaren warriors waited, tall, graceful beings with skin that shifted between deep purple and midnight blue, their eyes like pools of molten silver. They led him through corridors that felt more organic than constructed, until they reached massive doors that opened like flower petals unfurling. The throne room beyond stole his breath. It was vast, with a ceiling that displayed the cosmos itself, stars wheeling overhead in real time. And at its center, ascending a dais of what appeared to be living crystal, sat the Jaren Queen. Maya. Even among her kind, she was striking. Her skin held the deep richness of a nebula at twilight, patterns of bioluminescence tracing elegant lines across her shoulders and arms. She wore armor that seemed grown rather than forged, and a crown of crystalline thorns that caught and fractured the starlight above. But it was her eyes that held him, ancient, knowing, and fixed upon him with an intensity that made his pulse quicken. "Commander William Hayes," she said, her voice carrying the resonance of deep water and distant thunder. She spoke perfect English without the need for translation devices. "The hero of Proxima Station, the ghost of Meridian, the man who cost my empire 7 fleets and 2 core worlds." William stood straighter, refusing to show fear. "Your Majesty, I did what was necessary to protect my people." "As did I." She rose from her throne, and William realized she stood nearly 8 feet tall. She descended the steps with predatory grace, each movement deliberate. "Tell me, Commander, do you believe in fate?" "I believe in action and consequence, Your Majesty, not destiny." A smile played at her lips, a dangerous expression. How very human, practical, immediate. She circled him slowly, and he forced himself to remain still, to not track her movement like prey watching a predator. "You were at the Battle of Tyros, were you not, 15 years ago?" His scar seemed to burn. "Yes." "A lieutenant then, commanding a patrol ship, the Defiant if memory serves." "You've done your research." "I was there," she said simply. William's head snapped toward her. "That's impossible. Intelligence never reported." "Your intelligence saw what they expected to see. A young queen in her 3rd year of reign, traveling with her fleet to claim new territories." She stopped before him, so close he could see the subtle patterns in her skin shifting like auroras. "But the battle went poorly. Your human forces, though inferior in number and technology, fought with a desperation we had not anticipated. Your people defend their homes with a ferocity that borders on madness." "We call it courage." "I know what you call it now." Her hand moved and William tensed, but she merely gestured at his shoulder. "May I?" He didn't understand, but something in her gaze made him nod. She reached out, her fingers finding the seam of his uniform, and with surprising gentleness, she pulled it aside just enough to reveal the scar on his shoulder. A burn mark, twisted and old, in the shape of a Jaren energy weapons discharge. Her fingers, cool and impossibly soft, traced the edges of the scar. William's breath caught. The sensation was strange, almost electric, and memories flooded back unbidden. 15 years ago, the bridge of the Defiant exploding around him, emergency bulkheads failing, and then the Jaren boarding party cutting through his crew like shadows through candlelight. He'd fought them, even as his ship died around him. Fought until he was the last one standing on the bridge, bleeding from a dozen wounds, his sidearm empty. And then she had appeared. Younger then, but unmistakable. Maya, dressed in battle armor that gleamed like starlight. She disarmed him with contemptuous ease, her energy blade cutting across his shoulder, burning through flesh. He'd fallen, certain death was upon him. But she'd stopped, looked at him with those same silver eyes, and then, impossibly, she'd spoken to him in English halting, accented but clear. "You fight well, human, too well to die here. Consider this mercy a debt unpaid." She'd left him alive, left him with this scar and questions that haunted him for 15 years. "After all these years," Maya whispered, her fingers still on his scar, "I've finally found you." William's voice came rough. "You've always known where I was. Earth's military movements aren't exactly secret." "Known where Commander Hayes was, yes, but I didn't know if you were the same Lieutenant Hayes from the Defiant. Your records were incomplete. A casualty list that included your name later corrected, a medical discharge, then a mysterious return to service 3 years later." Her hand fell away, but she didn't step back. "I searched for you, William Hayes. After that battle, I returned to Earth's space twice, hopping to find the human who fought with such spirit that killing him felt like waste." "Why?" The question escaped him before he could stop it. "Why did you spare me?" Maya's expression shifted, vulnerability flickering across features too often set in imperial hauteur. "Because in that moment, looking into your eyes as you prepared to die, I saw something I had never seen in my own people. Not fury at failure, not acceptance of fate, but absolute, unbreakable defiance. You would have fought me with your bare hands if you could have risen. You would have spent your last breath in resistance." She turned away, moving back toward her throne, but she didn't sit. Instead, she gazed up at the stars wheeling overhead. "The Jaren Empire is ancient, Commander. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. We have brought order to chaos and civilization to darkness, but we have also grown, complacent, comfortable in our superiority." She looked back at him. "Until we met humanity. You fragile, short-lived creatures with your impossible, stubborn refusal to accept defeat. You taught us that we could bleed, and I learned that lesson from you personally." William processed this, his military training warring with the surreal intimacy of the moment. The Void Swarm won't care about lessons or philosophy. They'll consume everything, human and Jaren alike. "Which is why I requested you specifically for these negotiations." Maya descended the dais again, but this time she stopped at a respectful distance. "Not because you are humanity's finest diplomat, though your record speaks well of your capabilities, but because I know your character. I have known it for 15 years, carried the memory of it through every battle since. When you speak of alliance, I will believe you. When you make promises on behalf of your people, I will trust them. Trust based on one encounter 15 years ago. Trust based on this." She gestured at his shoulder. "I could have killed you. I should have killed you by the laws of my empire. Leaving an enemy combatant alive was dereliction of duty. I was nearly executed for it, but I saw in you what my people needed to see. Humanity isn't an inferior species to be conquered or eliminated. You are a force of nature, chaotic, destructive, creative, and utterly impossible to predict or contain." Maya extended her hand, palm up, a gesture he recognized from the cultural briefings. An offer of equal partnership in Jaren society. "The Void Swarm will destroy us both if we fight alone, but together, Jaren technology and strategy combined with human adaptability and ferocity," her eyes gleamed. "The universe itself would tremble." William looked at her hand, then at her face. This creature who had haunted his dreams and nightmares for 15 years. This queen who had shown him mercy when she had every reason not to. This alien who had searched for him across the stars. He thought of the swarm, the endless tide of hunger that had already consumed 6 civilizations. He thought of Earth, of the billions who depended on him to make the right choice. And he thought of that moment on the Defiant, when he'd looked into Maya's eyes and seen not just an enemy, but a kindred spirit. He took her hand. Her skin was cool, her grip firm. "Then let's make the universe tremble, Your Majesty." Maya's smile was radiant, transforming her features from austere to breathtaking. "Call me Maya, William. We have been connected by this scar for 15 years. It's time we became true allies." "Maya," he said, testing the name. It felt right. "Though I should warn you, humanity doesn't make easy allies. We're stubborn, argumentative, and we have a tendency to question everything." "I know," she replied, her hand still in his. "That's precisely why I chose you. The Jaren Empire has spent millennia surrounded by those who simply obey. We need allies who will challenge us, who will make us better, who will remind us that survival requires not just strength but the willingness to change." As they stood there, hands clasped, the stars wheeling overhead, William realized that the scar on his shoulder, the wound he'd carried as a reminder of war, had become something else entirely. A bridge between worlds, a promise of unity forged in fire, and perhaps the beginning of something neither human nor Jaren had ever imagined possible. The galaxy would burn before the swarm's hunger, but from those ashes something new would rise. Something that would make the darkness itself hesitate. Humanity and the Jaren Empire united at last. End.